Samsung Galaxy Note 9, 6 months later. That video is coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Galaxy Note 9, 6 months later. It's hard to believe it's already been 6 months with this device on the market, and the Galaxy S10 is coming out next week. We will have them on the channel as soon as they arrive to the studio. But I felt the need to talk about the Note 9 one more time due to the fact that I've had it for so long, and now I can actually share with you all my feelings about it, my experiences with it. And this is not just a side-by-side comparison talking about specifications, putting it next to a phone. This is everything I've learned about the Galaxy Note 9 in my usage. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is how superb the phone call quality has been. No, don't try to call that number. It's not a real number. If you were wondering, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think you're going to get any results on the other end. Basically, this is one of the best signal strengths I've seen on any flagship phone I've bought this year. Also, pretty loud speaker, and this is just a great experience here over my 6 months. So this one I want to get out of the way first of all. Good phone call quality. If you do this a lot, make phone calls, the Note 9 should be high on your list. Okay guys, so discussing the build quality, I want to point out some things that have happened with this over the 6 months. Now under the camera, if you can see right there, I do have a little scuff right there, a little chip or something. That's not lint. You can see me moving my finger and nothing happened there. Most of the glass on the rear panel is fine. Top here, you can see I did get some scratches in between the pinhole right there. So this has pretty much happened on the Note 8 as well, here on the Note 9. This also happens on the other Samsung phones I've used. If you switch your phone a lot, this probably won't be a problem for you if you're not switching phones, but this will happen if you do. Now at the bottom right of the Note 9, I noticed I got some wear right here on the glass. I don't know how this happened. I had this in a case most of the time, maybe from putting it on the table during speed tests, but nothing on this side, just mostly over down here on this side. So the sides of the body have been fine. Haven't noticed really any scuffing or scratching at the bottom here. Pretty good as well. Not noticing much to speak of there. And coming along these sides just fine. Now I did drop the screen on this phone when I first got it, so I've had a screen protector covering those scratches since day one. So overall, I would say the build quality has been good. It's not the best I've seen on any smartphone, but it's still pretty good build quality overall. I do like the water resistant rating though. IP68 is very strong. I never have any issues with that. So if you are out in rain or you're out in water for some reason at any time, this is one of the best phones to keep it sealed down. Never had any issues with that on the Note 9. Okay, so let me talk about the display experience I've had with this. This one's pretty obviously great. A lot of people are going to be buying this phone just because they want that no-notch large Super AMOLED display here for the Galaxy Note 9, and it doesn't disappoint. But there is a couple of things I did notice about it. Number one, the display is not quite as saturated as older Samsungs. It's more toned down. So if you did like the very saturated look of an older Samsung device from a couple of years ago, this one is a lot more toned down. If you go into basic AMOLED photo, AMOLED cinema, you're definitely going to make it even more toned down. Now, one thing I noticed is that the Note 9 doesn't get as bright as the iPhone XS Max. It also doesn't get as bright as the Huawei Mate 20X I do have, and I'm sure the P20 Pro or the Mate 20 Pro gets brighter as well from the manual control. Now, when you do have it in auto brightness and it does detect the sun, they do boost it up way up, but you can't really access that mode unless the sensor is triggered. So I'm a little disappointed with how bright this display gets comparatively to the other phones on the market. Now the Pixel 3 is even less bright, but I'm talking about like the XS Max, which is probably its closest competitor. It gets brighter from your manual control slider. So overall, fantastic display. I just want to see it get a little bit brighter in the future. It's still pretty bright, but the XS Max is definitely brighter. I want to see it get brighter than that phone. Okay guys, so 6 months time software. Let's talk about the first thing. Why are you not on the One UI already, Nick? I've seen other YouTubers and other people on the One UI already. I even have it myself. Well, it depends on your carrier. Number one, this is the unlocked model. I actually haven't had an update on this phone since December, and it's actually made me stop using it every single day because of this. December was the last time I had an update on this device, and One UI is not available in beta for this unlocked model in the US. Neither is it available yet to download. So this is one of the last models that does get it, unfortunately. So if you've seen other channels, they likely have a carrier model or they're in a country that has already had the beta or this pushed out. Now, I'm sure you can download it from XDA developers or something like that, but I don't want to take the risk of, bricking something or anything like that. I never got an OTA update on this unlocked US model, so that's why you don't see Pi on here yet. It feels a little bit unfair because unlocked users are paying full price for the phone versus carrier users, which don't even usually own the phone for at least 18 to 24 months. So Samsung's pushing out updates to people who don't even own the phone yet versus people who paid them full price for the device. So this feels like a slap in the face. And I really want to see you pick it up, Samsung, because that's not fair to the people that are paying you full-blown cash or full-blown price point for your device, and then you're leaving them in the dust, the unlocked users. And if any unlocked users are watching this video, they know what I'm saying. Now, to discuss the software itself, I talked about how I like the multitasking and stuff like that. I also like the palm screen swipe to take a capture. I also like how this phone has so many features that I've been just really like, anytime I think of a feature, it's there. I like the theme store. It was really fun to theme this phone out. And it's Samsung's experience through and through. You know what to expect. I can't really give you my take on One UI just yet. I'm sure it's smoother. I'm sure it's cleaner. I have seen photos of it and I have seen a couple videos about it, but I have to experience it for myself. Probably the first phone I'll experience that on will be the S10. Don't get me wrong. This is a super smooth, powerful powerhouse device, but still doesn't have that silky smooth feel that I see on the Pixel 3 XL, for example. So if you're looking for the most silky smooth, like the pleasing animations, I still think Samsung's not for you. It's still a very powerful phone, probably more powerful than some or many out there. 8 GB of RAM. It's a beast of a device. To me, it's just smooth, not silky smooth, but very fast. On the whole, I like the features of the software. I just feel like it's unfair to the unlocked users that they're getting this update way later than all the carrier users. So what we need to see is the software consistently updated across everybody's Samsung device at the same time. I don't think we're anywhere near that just yet. Now, I want to talk about storage. I really did like expandable storage on this phone. It was really nice to just pull the SD card out and just start transferring things to the computer or whatever. I do find 512 gigabytes overkill for what I do. Many of you probably have a 512 gigabyte and haven't used anywhere near all of your space, but the reason I got the 512 gig was mostly because I wanted that 8 gigabytes of RAM for better performance on a Samsung, and it has paid off because multitasking is spot on this phone. RAM management, it holds everything in the background perfectly with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Storage was very useful here to have that expandable memory. Still something you don't get on every phone, which I do love about the Note series. Okay, so let's talk about the cameras. The cameras on the rear, I have found them to be very versatile with having the telephoto and single lens. However, I find the new Huawei devices with triple lens even more versatile than the Note 9. But we're speaking about the Note 9. The telephoto lens was very nice to always have a 2x zoom. So if I go ahead and hit 2x, it will punch in. I really do like that. Now, one thing I do like also is that in the software, the settings are right here. So anytime you hit the settings, you can get to everything you're trying to do right here on the device, which was always nice. This is one of my favorite cameras to shoot with because of this. Everything is in the camera app itself. Also, if you hit this button, I liked how you can get a full screen photo. It was actually very nice to take some photos in this view. I do like how they fixed that sensitivity issue that I seen on the S9. So going through these on the S9 was very sensitive, and you would accidentally go through the features just on accident. And this didn't happen at all on the Note 9. But I also did enjoy how everything is so easy and right here at the top to see. One of my favorite camera apps altogether. I didn't like the AR emoji. I found it kind of gimmicky on the S9 Plus as well as here, and I haven't really ever used it. So I don't think it was necessary. I think it was just something to try to compete with an emoji at the time. Didn't do that well at all to me. Now, when you hit the photo here, one thing I don't like about Samsung is they don't have a dedicated video feature up here. So I would like to have a dedicated video feature. Now, you can frame the video by going over here to the pro mode correctly, but not everybody wants to shoot in the pro mode. So I would like an auto video mode that shows the preview of actually what you're gonna shoot, because watch this. So if I shoot this, boom, that's the photo. Now watch when I hit video, craps in. So it doesn't really tell you what you're gonna shoot. So if you're standing at a certain distance and you hit the video button, you might be like, oh man, hold on, I gotta back up. So that was kind of annoying with the camera. The selfie camera has plenty of amazing features. Hey, how's it going over there? And there is just everything right here. So if we hit the settings, you can go in here and it'll show you all your front camera settings. Now, the pictures did come out a little bit soft on the front. Some people do really enjoy that look overall, as it doesn't show all the detail of your pimples and everything like that. I think in 6 months time, this is definitely in my top favorite cameras to use. The usability is just super fun. I don't think it's the highest quality in any area, but it's a very versatile system and setup. So let's talk about Samsung's claim to be an amazing battery on the Note 9, and they have lived up to this claim. This thing is a very impressive phone for battery life. Now, especially if you put it in the mid power mode, I was getting ridiculous runtime on this phone. I would finish the day with 73%. So if you're going to use it at full beast mode, you'll still get through most of the day, probably the whole day, even on beast mode, full brightness, everything. But if you're going to be running it at mid, you're going to get so much time of runtime on this phone. So I always had it in mid mode to save me some battery life. I was getting anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 hours of on-screen time. 4,000 milliamp hour cell in here, combined with the optimization of the software that did come with this at the time, it is just destroying the battery life I got on the Galaxy Note 8. And it charged very fast through the fast charging adapter or any wireless chargers that do fast charge. So incredible battery life experience for the Note 9. Had no issue with it. I don't want to go on and on. You're going to be fine when it comes to this department. So Dolby Atmos did make the audio quality on the Note 9 much better, and it had dual speakers for the first time ever on a Note series. You didn't have this on the Note 8. In addition to that, the Note 9 does still retain its headphone jack, which is a definite love for a lot of people who do like to use headphones that have headphone jack, or had one that had it, and it gave you some pretty good AKG headphones in the box. So I have to give the Note 9 one of my favorite experiences in audio because it's so versatile in this department, and the Dolby Atmos is plenty loud enough. They're not the best speakers I've heard on a phone, but overall they're plenty loud, and you have headphone jacks. So Bluetooth 5.0 also makes connections fast. 6 months time, I love the versatility of audio on the Note 9. Had no issues with this. So the tool of the day, by the way, always on display, was nice how much you could customize it as well. The S Pen. So pull it out and just start writing a note. I'm going to draw a heart for Valentine's Day edition. And the Galaxy Note 9, I used it the same way I used the Note 8's pen. So I didn't really use that Bluetooth feature that they were talking about where you could take a photo, but I just didn't remember that I had this feature on the Galaxy Note 9. So oftentimes I would just find myself using the regular features that typically do come with the phone, such as create a note, smart select, live message, and translate. So really the S Pen, to me, it basically is going to be, your mileage will vary. So depending on how much you draw, you will like the pen up community. It's an awesome community here to make some drawings on the Note 9. But I think for the most part, most casual users are probably just going to take notes on it and forget about all the extra features that it does use. But if you do use those features, they are very handy. So taking a selfie if no one's around, that can be very useful. I just didn't remember that it was there because when I thought about the pen, all I wanted to do was jot down a note. So this is nice to have. It's loaded with the features. But to me, it wasn't all that useful in my experience, but it could be very useful in your experience. So I'm not going to, take a point off or anything for having features. The S Pen itself, very accurate. I do like the tips. They feel much better than on prior Note devices. My only gripe probably, if I'm reaching here to find something wrong with the S Pen, is that it feels cheap. I could probably snap this in less than half a second if I wanted to. And the top does wiggle a little bit, so that doesn't seem very $1,000 phone light, like you can move this thing around. Probably does that because it does click, but the S Pen really doesn't have any competition. Putting a metal pen in here will probably just add more weight to an already heavy phone. In conclusion, this has been a near perfect experience for Samsung devices for me, except for a few things that can still be improved. Of course, software is still not consistent across everybody who buys a Note device. Also, we could see a sharper camera on both the rear and the front that can always be improved. The brightness of the display can get brighter because it's definitely dim in comparison to the iPhone XS Max, for example. As a total package though, this is the ultimate computer in my pocket in the past 6 months. So yes, this is a near perfection Samsung device. I feel like we just need to see a little bit more consistency in the software. It's gonna keep being something I talk about until they get it together. And that seems like a critique that's never going to go away until we see that consistency with the updates across everyone, carriers and locked users included. My recommendation though is to just wait on the S10 and see what happens there if you haven't picked up a Samsung device right now and you're looking at one. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Note 9 is still worth it? Comment them down below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick here helping you to master your technology. I will catch you all in the next episode. Be sure to be well and peace.